Hi guys, welcome to our podcast Supposedly Adults, where we are four supposed adults sharing our quote-unquote youthful experiences.
Talking about the most random life topics.
Giving our thoughts that no one cares about.
And just trying to make life suck less.
That's right, so I'm Jensen.
I'm Melody.
This is Calvin.
And this is Lyris.
And today's random question is Mahjong the best game ever? Hello guys!
Hi.
What's up? Okay, today I have a really important topic that I'm super passionate about. So like my brand, as like all my friends know me, is that I love to play and to teach Mahjong. And recently for myself, I actually made like a little video tutorial about how to play because all the online tutorials suck. So like, I don't know, for me, I just think Mahjong, I know this is like a completely out of the blue, but like for me Mahjong, I do feel it is like such a superb game. I don't know what exactly it is about it, but like the game itself is just so fascinating and the history itself. So like, do you guys play Mahjong?
Yeah, definitely. Dude, it's the Asian identity. I feel, okay, so just a little background. This is literally the profession of my grandmother. So that is her income source right now. She's just playing and she earns so much. So we're talking about in the thousands Hong Kong dollars
Wow.
Each game. So it's
my
literally
God.
her job,
It's so
her
funny.
day job. So that's crazy.
How often does she play it?
She plays it like 4 or 5 times a week, I think, easily.
Whoa.
Yeah,
With different
super
people, with
legit.
like the same people.
She has like a group of people, and there's so much gossips and all that, and so much drama as well.
Yeah, okay, see
literally,
that.
yeah, it's literally Glee, but then in Mahjong.
Yeah, but imagine with all grandmothers and, you know.
Like for me, I know it's a gambling game where like money does move around, but like that's the thing I enjoy. I don't really like it as like a competition per se, but I do like it as a social event because literally you can be sitting there for like minimally 3 hours and then like not a lot of money is really exchanged or like money is just moved around between the common group of friends that you keep playing with, but at the same time the social element is just so enjoyable. Just talk to people, the strategy as well. I don't know, does your grandma have any tips?
No, I don't know. Okay, I personally, so this is huge for my family. It happens every Chinese New Year, every Saturday when there's nothing to do. But then, I don't know, I feel like I'm not the biggest fan of it just because...
That's criminal.
Oh,
That's criminal. I don't like it that much either.
Hashtag
No, but I feel like, because it's interesting what Jansen said, right? So this, like the social aspects of it. But I feel like it's most of the time just, you know, each of us doing our own thing. You don't actually talk that much when you do Mahjong though, right? So
Then
it's
you
the
ain't
social
playing the
aspect.
game
Do you
right.
talk do you small talk during the game?
Yeah, just like you talk about random stuff, whatever happens, or like when...
No, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just our family, because the mahjong game in our family is so intense. Like whenever my sister and I have to play with my mother and my grandmother, it is the most stressful and intense thing ever. Because they're like professional, so we get yelled at all the time. They're like, "Oh, come on, faster!" Blah blah blah. And then like if you did the wrong thing or you made a mistake or you were like you have to think like 2 seconds more, they like full on yell at you. So it is very stressful.
Yeah, that's why Jen said you think Mahjong is a game. That and then Lyris think that it's a sport because for you it's just like chit-chatting and all that. It's not. It's life or death.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
on the table. That's why.
It's true. I don't know.
Fair,
I think
fair.
Mahjong is brutal.
But like, I don't. It's so surprising how you guys say like it's such a tense game, which I get. Like for me, especially when I'm teaching beginners, like the amount of time that it takes to think through the whole process and like to know and plan what they're saying. Yeah, they really like. I can't handle that. I need them to be like to have a minimal speed when they play with me so that at least like you can still have a conversation but you can still like it's that balance between like you're focusing but at the same time trying to engage everyone, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it does take a lot of brain power. So I think there has been a lot of research saying that Mahjong is actually good for Alzheimer's. So then whenever, in Hong Kong anyway, whenever an elderly is being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, they would suggest them and recommend them to play Mahjong actually. So that is a huge thing. But my mom has never been that into Mahjong. So it has always been just a social thing and kill time thing. But lately she's gotten so into it. So there's this Canto movie called Liku Liku Sunny Chart, and it's like the ultimate mahjong
Is it a
movie
very old
with
one?
Andy Lau in it. Because mom was bugging me to watch it again for the 5th time with her, just because she was like, I've learned so much life theory and principles through mahjong. I've learned so much through it.
It's
and
true
she's
though.
forcing me to
It's
do
true.
it. So yeah. Okay. So what is the one thing that you learned from mahjong, Jansen?
I think it's just like whenever you're dealt with shitty cards, you just suck it up, give your best poker face, and then just do what you can with them, and then hope for the best. I feel like that's just the mahjong lesson that everyone follows, because you never really know whether you have good or bad cards. And like,
Dude, I felt
Yeah.
like you cheating on mahjong. So because you said poker face, you should have said like mahjong face or something. Like honestly, yo, I don't know. I felt like you cheating, and then you talk about how much you love mahjong, and yet you don't even say mahjong face. You say poker face. Shame on you, dude. Shame on you.
Yeah, Calvin, this is weird. We should ban you for making jokes in this thing. It's not funny. Anyway, no, but I feel
it's
like
the
one of
same. Okay, no, but I feel like no, mahjong is basically Chinese poker. I feel.
that is true.
Is it
That is
though?
true. It's a lot more complicated than poker.
No, but
though.
like, isn't poker about like you don't have to lie in mahjong. You just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not like as high as advanced in it, but like I just do whatever I have to do. I don't have to like pretend that I have a good card or whatever. Or are you supposed?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
you can.
You're supposed to do that because
Why?
then people.
So just intimidate people.
Yeah, because there are a
Yeah.
lot of ultimate strategies in it. Because there are like
And well, I guess no, because you pretend that you're gonna win soon, right? And then so they're like, this person's gonna win, so I better like should sacrifice my hand, and then like so that's kind of basically if you don't win, then you want to ruin everybody's chances of winning. It's such a dark game, honestly. It's like if I can't
No,
get
but I
it,
feel like-
nobody can get it. It's such a dark game.
That is
yeah.
true. That is true. No, but I like what Jansen said because Jansen was like, oh, if you're dealt with bad cards, then you kind of just have to suck it up. But I feel like in the movie anyway, one of the things that they kind of talked about, it's people that reacts really badly when they lose or when they win, right? So when they win, they go all happy and they start trash talking people and try to brag in their face. And if they start losing, then they flip the table and just ruin the game for everybody.
That happens in real life. Have you not heard about grandmother? Like she talks about the story where her friends like legit flip the table on them because they.
Are
lost.
you serious?
Yes, that happens
Wow,
all the time.
flipping
And,
table.
like actually flip. I never understood that because you have to come back and like help pick up from the ground. So I never it's never as cool as the movies show because you have to like flip it and be like yeah whatever, and then like 5 seconds later you're like oh I'm sorry, and then you have to like pick it up. It's not really that cool. Don't get it.
Exactly. And also once you flip it, you're like, yo, this friendship's over. But like how can you come back to this? Like there's no way back, right? You flip it and that's it. Like you can't do anything. So I don't know. It's kind of
No,
weird.
but I think they have to because they have no like. Do you know like?
Because they have no
Really?
friends. Is
Yeah.
that what you're gonna say?
Okay, I don't want to. Okay, this sounds bad, but like they're 80 years old. I don't know. They have limited friend groups. They should like I don't know.
Yeah, that is true though. Like this is like their only way of meeting people and the only socializing source that they get. They should really treasure it.
Oh, but
That's
there's so
true.
much drama. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Every time I see my grandmother, she like tells me this crazy story about like mahjong and like
Yeah.
her friends. It's really cool. But
Yeah, I don't know, but do you guys feel the same too? Like, okay, let's say mahjong is one specific game, but let's say if you play other games, even Monopoly. I think Monopoly ruins so many
Oh, yeah,
friendships.
fair, Monopoly.
But do you guys feel that too? Like, do you ever get really stressed out? Or I feel like mahjong because your money is on the table, so the stake is higher. And
But
then-
that's the fun part.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
guess
you
so.
get people
I
involved.
guess so, but Jansen, when you lose, let's say, do you ever get really upset? And when you're happy, you kind of get happy, and that your mood kind of swings with the outcome of the game, right?
when I lose 1/4 of the money, it gets really, really frustrating and it's not as fun.
Oh.
So like my ideal way to win money, or like sorry, my ideal way to play Mahjong itself, it's more of just either I win at first and then lose money, or win and then like win a little bit by the end, that kind of thing.
But I guess my question though, the premise is though, like how much are we talking about? Like $100, a quarter, $1,000?
Which currency are
Because
you
if I
talking
lose,
about?
sorry,
Which currency are you talking about?
it doesn't matter. Like let's say your dollar, like Hong Kong
Your
dollars,
dollar.
right? If you're talking
My
about like
God.
50 cents
Uh-huh.
or like $100 or $1,000, that make a big difference. Like I don't know.
I don't know. I think for me, it doesn't really matter to a point because I also don't really play a lot. The most I play would be, okay, so I play also different types of mahjong as well. So in Singapore, like there's that $1 for one Thai, but it's up to five Thais. It's a very complicated system, but like yeah, like I think the most
They're like, what's happening?
it's a different mahjong game or variation itself, but like I think the most I lost would be when I play with my relatives. It'd be I think 150 or 200 Sing, so that's like almost 1,000 Hong Kong, or like
What?
Oh
1,000
my
Hong
And your
Kong.
God.
relatives, they take money from you? Because usually they're like,
Because I'm fresh meat, they love playing with like young people. Yeah.
usually like, okay, I play the younger sister game, so they're usually like, if I lose a lot, they're like, oh, poor thing, they start giving me money. They're like, oh, I'll give you this like single like $5, you take that.
Yeah, but that's because I'm earning my money. That's it.
Oh shoot.
So they're just like, okay, a new way to feed my family, that kind of mentality.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's mostly I think during the first 4 wins, so it's like the first game itself, when I start to lose money and like it feels like I keep losing, then I'm just like I'm not in the mood anymore. So it helps if like I'm cushioned a bit before like the eventual fall, because I know I won't be as good as them, but like, you know, I want like a little bit of like, oh, like I'm lucky I'm getting some money before I get into the mentality of like, oh, okay, this is not fun, you know.
Right. So the thing is like with games, okay, I am very competitive. But with games, do you actually enjoy the game itself or actually winning? Do you like to play games because you can win and you like just like the feeling of winning? Because if you lose the game, you're like, it's not fun anymore. Then like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, does the result dictate whether the game is fun, or is it like the journey that counts? Which
Great
everyone knows is
question,
not
yeah.
true, because
But I guess it depends on how many times you play that specific game, right? So like if I keep going back to it, then I know it's fun. Like Monopoly, I know it's fun. But like for that particular game itself, I enjoy it because I won a little bit of money at that period of time, or I won in general, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Can you give me 3 reasons why Monopoly is fun?
right?
Roll the
Wait,
dice.
what?
You
I
roll-
never
you roll the
understood
dice.
I never
Oh, it's so
understand Monopoly.
fun.
Okay, what?
Yes, and also it never ends. I don't think I've ever
That's true,
played,
it never
I've never
ends.
ended like a Monopoly game. It's always like, I'm over it. It's fine.
So tell me 3 reasons why people should start playing Monopoly, because it's so damn boring.
No,
like,
it's
what's
so
so fun
fun.
about it?
I'm with you with this one, bro. I don't
Oh my
think.
god.
But I don't know, right? Because okay, for me personally, I don't get very attached. I'm in general, I'd say I'm a competitive person, but not in games. Maybe because I don't know. I feel I don't care enough. But I love
Because you lose so much. That's
that.
why you're not
That's also
competitive
a
anymore. It's like,
possibility.
whatever. I'm gonna
No,
lose
like I
anyway.
enjoy playing board games, but I wouldn't mind if I lose. For instance, or let's say in mahjong, if I lose, I feel dumb because that could be $50 spent in McDonald's instead, and I'd be happy. Or, oh, okay, I got extra money that I don't deserve. So, I mean, I kind of feel very neutral regarding that, or indifferent regarding that. But then I get a lot more affected in other stuff. So, let's say in my career or in other aspects of things that I really care about. I guess that's kind of related to attachment in a way that we talked about previously as well, like how much it matters to you. That kind of changes how you view winning and losing in that as well.
I agree, but I guess the question is though, when you just play a game with no stick, like there's nothing, like you lose, doesn't matter. Of course you don't care, but let's say you're playing $1,000 or a career, right? When there's something at risk, and you lose, it will matter to you even more, isn't it?
That's why
Like,
you
don't
don't
think
really
so?
play so big, and that's why I only play with my relatives like for that amount.
Yeah.
And like that's only after I only lost that amount of money after playing like I think almost all night. So it's more of like, oh, I'm slowly losing this amount. Okay, great. But just keep doing it.
Yeah, because I feel like this topic actually reminded me of this thing that I'm kind of struggling with. So I get affected by other people's emotions very quickly, and lately I've just learned that there's a term for it called being an empath. But then essentially being an empath is, feeling what other people are feeling and getting really, when somebody's stressed, I feel stressed too. When somebody else, feels happy, then I feel happy. But if they feel depressed, then I feel depressed as well. And sometimes I feel very overwhelmed because I feel like I'm not in control of my own feelings. I'm always being affected by other people. So in Chinese saying, there is this saying called 心隨境轉境隨心轉. So it's essentially whether your internal state or your mindset changes because of the changes happening in the external context, or does your internal mindset changing the out. I don't know.
Dude, dump it down for me. It's too complicated.
I
Just
hear-
dump
I
it
hear
down for
a
me.
lot
What
of
are you talking
changes.
about?
And then
Sorry,
yes.
okay, my bad. So, in Chinese poetry back in the days, they'd go like, "Oh, the sky is blue," or "The sky is depressing because I'm depressed," right? So the outside world kind of changes because of your internal state. But then there's also things like very easy. Let's say if it's sunny outside, I'd be really happy. If it's really rainy outside, I feel very depressed. So then my internal state is actually, affected because of external environment. So that kind of is two ways to see this.
But I agree. But this is the thing, though. I agree, but okay, I'm a weird guy. So sometimes when it's raining, yeah, obviously we're like, oh, so depressed. But then I guess it all depends on how you look at certain things, right? Because I can think about like, oh yeah, it's raining, it's so depressing. But at the same time, I can think about like, oh, you know what? But it's refreshing. Now, if I walk outside, I can think about like, oh, how refreshed the air is gonna be. I can think about, oh, how everywhere is getting, like all the trees are getting watered and all that. So it really depends on how you look at it, because you can look at one thing and change your emotion, but then at the same time, you can flip the switch and look at things in a different angle, and you'd be happier in a way. So I think it's really depends on how you look at the thing, what angle you choose to look at it.
Yeah.
But I do agree that like to a certain extent your emotions do impact your performance in like for the context that we're bringing, I guess in terms of games. Yeah, to some extent. For me, I remember there are some Mahjong games, especially when I play with my dad. I think that's more of the issue. Where like he just annoys me in the first few rounds, then the subsequent rounds, after I lost money plus his annoyance gets to me, then I'm just like, oh, I just want this to be over. Then no matter whether I'm winning or whether I'm losing, I'm just like, I'm done. I don't really want to like play. It's just more me sitting there as an obligation to finish the game, But I also do realize that like when I'm in that certain mood, it's usually not a very good outcome. Like I don't know, just the feng shui doesn't line up, and like I'm not getting the cards that I want. Yeah.
Yeah,
But tell me, what did your dad do to annoy you? I'm just curious about that.
I don't know, it's just saying some stuff. It's just family stuff, like all these little like habits that they don't really affect you day to day, because like they are spread out or like dispersed from different time periods. But like in the Mahjong, when you're staring at this one person or staring at the three people, and if it's three, like that's why you have to also pick like the players that you play with. If it's three people that you're also not like vibing with too much, like it won't be fun. It won't be like when you're losing to them, you will like feel like it's a personal attack, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's I think when the game starts getting really bitter and sour. And I think same for Monopoly as well. When you keep losing, that sense of just losing, even though it's not real money, even though it doesn't really cost anything, I don't know, a part of you is just taken away by that person. Then you feel so possessive over this fake amount of money that you just that anger is projected to the other person as well.
yeah.
Dude, I totally agree, because my family is very competitive. Like I am super competitive, but my family is insane. Like my uncle is like the massive trash talk, like the amount of trash talk he does during the mahjong game. So effective because it's like really because he like shout like he is so good at it because he goes like really quiet and then he goes really loud and it's like full on intense like. No, do you not know what I'm saying, Melody?
I have no idea what you're saying, but you look very funny.
No, dude, like he gets a card, right? And then he suddenly just yells, Sigla! But like, do you know what I mean? Like it's like that sudden like
If you're just a
shouting.
normally quiet person, it's just like,
Yeah, and just like that manipulate anyway, I'm
wait, you're starting some family drama.
no. Like just during the game. He's a great guy. Jessica.
But I also think that's like the fun part of Mahjong because like your personality is shown, that kind of thing. Or just like when you're in that tense moment and like when I'm in a tense moment, when I'm in an annoyed moment, all of like my weaknesses, I don't know whether the strengths show as strongly, but like the weaknesses definitely show up.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I think what I was trying to say is sorry, I got very carried away by the
We didn't notice. Wow.
No, you seem very calm.
JK.
No, what I was saying is because you know, like what Melody and Calvin kind of said, right? How sometimes your emotion, you shouldn't let the external factor or other people affect how you feel. Because as long as you change your mindset, then the external factors will also change, and that is very important in mahjong, right? Because if you let the external factor, if you let the fact that you are losing kind of affect your emotion, then it messes with you, then you just lose more and more. But if you don't let that affect you and then you continue in a positive mood, then probably you can win more. But then the thing is, this is where I struggle with this sometimes, because I feel like sometimes people uses this as an excuse to say that I shouldn't feel a certain way when other people do something to me. Okay, so for example, if this person is trash talking, right, then I should not let him affect me, right? In like a ideal situation, I should be like, oh, I'll just like don't like pretend I don't hear it, just let him continue to talk, and I just have to like stay positive. But then some like, when do you make that your responsibility to change how you feel, or when do you just like kind of confront them, be like, yo, can you stop that because that's not cool? Or when do you like, yo, I just kind of don't want to play with you anymore because like you're making me feel uncomfortable? Like when do you like how do you like navigate that, I guess?
I mean, I feel like my take on it would be, you can only control what you can control, right? So, whatever other people say or whatever other people do, you can try your best to convince them or to call them out or whatever, but ultimately they decide what they want to say or what they want to do. So that would be completely out of your control. Then in that case, the only thing you can control would be your mindset, right? So that is why I personally find it so important, and I really want to be able to improve that aspect of me, because I feel like that could go a lot of ways too, like a very similar game, poker, let's say, right? So even if you have a very shitty hand, you kind of still need to put on this poker face because you're not supposed to get affected by it, and that's kind of game. Yeah. So you kind of have to put on that face and play that game, right? And in a more reality kind of application would be, let's say I'm super calm and suddenly my mom started yelling at me for something really tiny, and then I get really frustrated and I get very angry and I yell back. So that is something as well. So let's say if I can control my state and not let it be affected by outside circumstances, then in that case I could kind of deal with this scenario a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with it. I especially agree with how like the just to be able to control what you think and all that. So guys, I'm gonna get very personal here, and I think we should record the date because I'll never get this personal anymore. So so when I first moved to Toronto, so I was all by myself because I moved here for school, so I all kind of lived by myself and all that, right? And I remember the first year I was just living, rented a room in a house, and the door's always closed because there's a cat inside the house, and then I'm allergic to cat hair. I didn't know until I moved there, so my door's always closed so the cat doesn't come in. So it's just basically me with four walls, with not knowing anybody in the city because I don't know anybody in the city. So I remember like a lot of days I was just sitting there and be like, yo, dude, it's just me and four walls and that's it. This is my world now, right? Like, doesn't matter if I go for walks or whatever, I still feel like I'm all by myself all the time. And I remember for the longest time, I was keep dwelling on that. I was like, yo, and I feel that like a sense of loneliness or whatever, right? But then one day it just dawned on me like, yo, Calvin, like you can either let yourself keep keep being in this state, or you can start changing your thinking. So this is so weird. By starting going to the mirror, but like, yo, Calvin, you know what? Whatever it doesn't kill you makes you so much stronger. You're a beeping legend. You go, girls. I guess no, like, no. It's just so weird. Like, it's so weird. It's really weird. Like it's such a superficial way. But I keep like looking in a mirror and like tell myself that you're a freaking legend. You can do this, right? But doing that, I basically start changing mindset, right? Instead of thinking like, yo, I'm so sad, it's all by myself. Now I'm thinking instead of just thinking of it as like, yo, this is a challenge and you can overcome this. You can do this because you're freaking awesome. Like, I think from that experience kind of lead me to think like, oh yeah, actually I can control how I read a situation. I can control how I think about certain things. So I guess to go back to the game, like either I can be like, yo, this hand sucks, but like, yo, I can like, not winning right now is fine but maybe I can just hold it, don't lose and then later I can win big. Like it's all about mindset, your psyche, how you read the situation. So yeah, that's kind of what I learned.
Yeah. What you said actually reminded me of a psychology theory called the self-fulfilling prophecy. I really like that because so basically the background of it, the experiment is they went into a classroom. There's like, let's say 30 kids. So they handed a random name list to the teacher and say that we did an IQ test on these kids.
Oh my
15
God.
of them,
Yeah.
15 of them are super smart. They're basically geniuses, and 15 of them are just super dumb. So what the teachers didn't know is that this name list is completely random. So they did not actually do an IQ test there. And then by the end of the school year, they went in to test their IQ test again, and then they realized the random list or the random group of people that has been categorized as geniuses actually got higher grades, and then the group that got basically categorized as dumb, they got lower grades. So that is called the self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you believe that, you kind of manipulate that to make it happen as well, subtly, without you knowing.
Thank you. So you're saying I am gonna fulfill my prophecy and become a legend. That's basically what you're telling me. So thanks for that.
No, I wanted to talk about this because I actually was watching like a YouTube video on this. So it's actually called like today. Like, I think recently it's called the Pygmalion effect. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing it right. Like and subscribe for this wonderful fun fact that we're providing our listeners to. It's also called the Rosenthal effect. So there's like another experiment, like another scientist did it, where they took 2 batches of rats and then gave it to like 2 different groups of people, and then told them like one batch of rats, or one group we told them like they told them the rats are smarter, and then like the other group we told them like the rats are dumber. So like even after the results, it's similar to what Melody said. It's so the rats that were named or like labeled as smarter performed well in like getting out a maze or something. And actually like this in a certain way is also true in like politically speaking stereotypes as well. They also foster some similar social behavior when like you take that effect to account.
That's crazy. I think that's even more impactful because it's on rats, and just by telling them, yo, you're dumb, it actually manipulate the results. So what I'm telling my dog Popcorn would actually affect him, I guess.
But the study is
that is crazy.
Because the study is more talking about because the study is talking more about like what you tell yourself, and then therefore because of what you tell yourself, how you actually interact with people. So I guess like for this case, when we're talking about games, when we're talking about how we motivate ourselves, it's more of like what we tell ourselves and what we do to ourselves. But note that what you tell yourself can also affect the people around you and how you perceive them, and reinforce certain stereotypes as well.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just gonna be that girl again. But isn't that also kind of saying that, like in the test that you guys talked about, it's less of how that person, it's not necessarily on the subject's, it's not necessarily like the responsibility or it's not on the subject whether he feels positive or not, right? Because it's about society. Because I feel like this is kind of more saying that how society tells people like who they value, who they don't value, kind of changes how you feel. So it's not necessarily like whether you tried hard or not, because I think that's like sometimes I might struggle with. I completely agree with the mentality and like to always stay positive, to change the mindset and to make sure that you can do it. But the thing is, some people also uses this to, you know, look down on, or to like trash, or like not trash talk, but like to keep other people down, because they're saying like, oh, if you are not succeeding, it's because you don't have the right mindset. Then you should, without like considering how the society, or how like the power dynamic, how resources are allocated. So I think we also have to bear that in mind.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, because you know, in the experiment they basically found out that, you know, when the teachers think that you're smarter, they kind of just give you more opportunities to answer questions, or even let's say if you answer the questions wrong, they would try to prompt you and guide you. But then if, let's say, the dumb one, they just go like, you know, you can't answer this, that's just because you're dumb, so there's no point in helping you. So Lyris definitely had a good point, but that also reminded me of this, I don't know what's the proper name of it, like the clock effect. So let's say if there are a lot of father clocks, and then they're all, you know, swinging at different moments and whatnot, there's this really giant father clock there, and you know, as time goes on, all the other clocks would synchronize with the big one. So do you think that is like kind of how much you believe in it? So let's say Calvin thinks I can't do it, I think I can do it, and if my energy is stronger and my belief is stronger, my faith is stronger than his, then mine trumps his. Do you get what I mean?
But then who's the father clock?
Are you saying I'm the father
Then it would be
Who is the big
Oh
clock?
my god.
no, but the big father clock is basically whoever that has greater energy,
I mean,
quote unquote. I don't know what's like the proper term to coin
My
it.
father
Phenomenon
is
or
taking-
social?
What? What does
No,
that
physics
mean?
phenomenon
What's that
or-
mean?
How do you
No. Me too. I keep making dad jokes. It's just my father clock is ticking.
Oh,
That's all.
okay.
And maybe one day it'll expire and you guys kick me out of the group because
God damn.
it does. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, but Jansen, what were you saying?
No, I'm more confused about whether this is a social like thing that you were taught with your degree, or whether it's like a physics phenomenon. Now I'm interested.
I think it's the physics phenomenon with the clocks thing,
it
right?
is a
Okay.
Yeah.
phenomenon.
It's kind of like women syncing their period, no? Is that not the same kind of idea?
Is that actually
okay,
a
I
thing?
can't
No, I think
comment.
that's
I
think that's more hormones. That's not physics.
Yeah,
So whoever you
but,
sing
like,
to
it's
has like
also-
a big.
It's also
Energy.
like biological, like physical, right? Like, why would like the period sync?
I like how we talk about how woman's period is sinking just like a father clock is sinking. It's so funny. How do you put father clock and period
No, but
together?
no,
It's kind
but
of
you know what?
funny.
It's like this. It might be the same theory. I don't know. I'm not a science person, but this is my theory: father clock and women's period.
But okay, but
Comment down below. Comment on our Facebook and Instagram to tell us what you think.
I need to
Whether
look
they're
this
the
up
same
before
thing.
the episode ends, because I need to know. I need
But-
to educate the people.
But it's funny though. But no, these are great points. Of like, I guess when we at the beginning we are talking about how we control mindset, and then you brought a good point, like how we're really being influenced by other people, right? But I guess so to go back to like so. Like right now, like let's say using Melody's example, like the kids perform better. It's just because like teacher like keep telling them like, you're great. But to a point is how to get to the point where the kids kind of believe what that person is saying, and then somehow internalize that external factor, right? So at the end of the day, can we still argue that it's still how the kid's thinking about it, because that kid kind of internalized that, right? Because I can keep telling you, oh, you're beautiful, but then you don't believe it. It doesn't matter. So same thing, like you can keep telling kids that you're so smart, but the kid doesn't believe it. It doesn't matter. So yeah, in a way, we're influenced by the external factor, but also ultimately, it's the kids who decide their own fate. You know what I mean, right? So
Yeah.
I still believe it's the self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing.
I think I definitely get Calvin's point. I think that's a really good point. But I guess the hard part would be society. Like the force from society is just so much stronger than your little mind. Because let's say if everybody tells you being fat is ugly,
Society is
then
the big
it's
problem.
hard for you to not believe otherwise. So I guess what my learning from this is, one, you could try your hardest and try your best to change your mindset, and remember, one takeaway would be the self-fulfilling prophecy. So don't do that to yourself.
Legend.
but then the second takeaway for me is to be kind to other people. I think that is also why in our generation we focus so much more on, don't fat shame, don't don't degrade other people. And sometimes, the older generation, going back to the boomer thing, I feel like how they grew up would also be, I'm giving constructive criticism, and that's how you get to improve, by me trashing on you or telling you, what's not okay about you. But I think that is a very important reminder to just be kind to other people, because you don't know that one thing that you might have said to this person would affect him maybe 20 years down the road.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. You know what? This is kind of interesting because with what you just said, because I felt like we often just so focusing on, like maybe it's human nature, we're always so focusing on people, like the bad side of people. We always like pick out, oh, this is wrong, or you're not, let's say someone's wearing an outfit, right? Be like, yo, that jeans doesn't look good on you, like, or that shirt's too short for you, right? But instead, and just kind of human nature, keep picking out all the negative aspect of a person. So I felt like we should, instead of doing that, we should just focusing on the bright side of things, like focusing on the positive of that person. Like I heard the analogy is like how everybody's always wearing a basket at the front and always basket at the back. So in front, it's just a basket where you can only see it. It's all the good things about you, and all the bad things about you don't really see. It's you wearing it at the back. But then we all can each follow each other. So which means we constantly seeing what's good about ourselves and constantly seeing the bad side of the people. But then I feel like we need to turn it around. We start seeing the good of the people. And when being doing so, we'll be able to do a little bit more encouraging, right? And in turn, like being kinder, encouraging each other to be better. And again, it's a big, I mean, I don't know. It's impossible to change it, I feel like, but I felt like we just need to do our part. We just need to do our own part. We can't really so concerned about what other people's doing. We just need to do our own part of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, but I also just want to raise this, how there might be a gender difference in this. I don't want to generalize it, but I feel like as a woman or as girls, you tend to see your flaws before you see your good. And that is how society has trained you. That is, from imposter syndrome. We could be talking about this. I could be talking hours about imposter syndrome. And it's a thing. Like society and family, they have taught girls to just look at flaws of yourself and before you basically appreciate it. Because my mom used to tell me that a lot growing up, and she'd be like, every time something bad happens, think about whether it's your fault first, because it's likely that you have a stick in it. And I think it's great, education are great value to have, but at the same time, it has also trained me into this negative self-talk all the time. So every time something really minor, I just kind of beat myself, and I think that while, Calvin's reminder is very good, but it's also good to be reminded that you should not, criticize yourself that much.
Can I talk? Okay. So,
She's been dying to say something.
I've been dying. I've been doing all the hand signals, so I can talk. Because I was actually exactly talking about that, because we were talking about how, again, I guess it's a common theme, how to strike balance between society and then yourself. So now I am holding my once again, if you want to
Listeners, she actually has the book in her hands.
Yep. No, because I was reading this book because I had this gender and leadership course that we were doing. So a lot of the there's a lot of critique on leadership programs on like fixing the people. It's like the gender thing that we talk about. So like fixing the woman, right? So basically saying that, oh, women are not succeeding as well as men. It's because women are taught by the society not to be as confident or whatever, always doubting yourself. That's why they're not succeeding. So these courses are like targeted to women, be like, oh, you should lean in and to like change your attitude so that you can succeed. And then a lot of critiques for these theories is that you guys are ignoring the larger force, because like, why do you think the women are not leading in? There are a lot of external factors. So it's very one-sided. Every time we talk about Stacey Abrams, I never do it justice. But I think what's great about Stacey, because this book is about minority leaders. So basically telling how you can succeed as a minority, like as a Black woman or like a queer woman or whatever. So they're basically saying that we have to be aware of the external factor, because when a person tells you long enough that you're not good enough, you'll just internalize it and you believe it. So in one part, we really have to be aware of these social, like external factors. We have to work hard, do our part, be kinder to each other, be inclusive to change this outer external factor. But at the same time, while the things are changing, we also have to keep reminding ourselves that whatever people tell us is not necessarily true, that we should believe in ourselves. We should like change our mindset to doing that. So I think it's very important to balance the both.
Is this book the same book as you
Yes, it was the same-
recommended? Oh, okay.
The
You know
word,
what?
like-
Audible should like sponsor us. We can promote more books, so which
Right?
I support.
You can tell that's the only book I've read this year. That's what I keep
This is the most recent book this
only
year.
book, yeah, in like 5
Love
years.
that. Wow,
Yeah.
okay. We just had a really in-depth conversation about what from Mahjong, which again further points out that Mahjong is the best game ever to exist. I think that's a very good conclusion that I hope all the listeners take away.
Yeah. And if for all the, I guess, Chinese listener out there, if you don't know how to play Mahjong, you're not a real Chinese. I believe in that. If you don't know, you're not real.
I'm gonna plug my video. Please go watch my tutorial.
No,
JK.
but link it, Jensen.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
We'll
you should.
discuss about that.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
I feel like it's
Thanks,
super
guys.
smooth
Thank
for this
you. Yeah,
ad.
so
I love
smooth.
it. Again, people should sponsor us.
I can't sponsor us because I've been conflict of
This
interest.
podcast is sponsored by Jensen's tutorial.
Well, it's not making any money too. we're all poor.
Yeah, but it's good though, because without Mahjong, that crazy rich Asian scene would not be as badass.
I have
So I
issues with
think-
that scene, but that's another topic. But
Okay. Yo, we should talk about Crazy Rich Asian one episode. Yeah, we should do that.
Okay,
Anyway.
You're so important, of course, obviously. Another topic.
We'll save it for next time. Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.